During World War II, survival wasn't about shiny gear or cutting-edge inventions. It was about what you could carry in your pocket when the world around you fell apart. The soldiers who crossed the beaches of Normandy, fought through the forests of Europe, or survived the islands of the Pacific didn't rely on 20-in-1 gadgets or fancy survival kits. They relied on simple, brutally effective tools that worked when everything else failed. And from the mud and blood of those battlefields emerged one of the most underestimated survival kits in history, a trio of pocket tools that outsmarted every modern multi-tool we worship today. When people think of multi-tools, they imagine sleek stainless steel gadgets that fold out like Swiss watches, packed with blades, pliers, and screwdrivers. They promise to be ready for anything, but most break, rust, or jam at the first sign of real work. The soldiers of World War II didn't have time for that. Every ounce they carried mattered, every pocket space was precious, and every tool had to prove its worth. There were no luxury materials or marketing claims, just raw steel built for war. What those soldiers discovered, often without realizing it, was that reliability beats complexity every single time. The British soldiers carried the Army clasp knife, a rugged three-piece folding knife made of high-carbon steel. It wasn't pretty, but it was nearly indestructible. The Americans had their own version, the TL-29 electrician's knife. Designed for field wiring, it had a sturdy blade and a folding screwdriver, perfect for fixing radios, cutting cords, and doing the kind of field repairs that could mean the difference between life and death. And then came the simplest yet most iconic piece of them all, the P-38 can opener. It was barely an inch and a half long, weighed next to nothing, and could open a tin of rations faster than anything before it, but the soldiers who carried it found dozens of other uses for it. They used it to carve, scrape, spark fires, and pry things open. It was a masterpiece of minimalism, the definition of military efficiency. Together, these three tools formed what came to be known among troops as the pocket mechanic, a knife for cutting, a spike or screwdriver for leverage, and a can opener for everything else. With those three, soldiers built, repaired, and survived. No hinges jammed, no parts fell off, and nothing needed batteries. It was gear that could take a beating, get caked in mud, scrubbed clean with a rag, and still work like the day it was issued. And that's the part that makes this old war gear so fascinating. Modern tools are engineered for convenience, but wartime tools were engineered for endurance. A British sapper could cut wire splice rope or pry open crates with his knife and marlin spike. A United States infantryman could use his TL-29 to fix field radios or shave wood for a fire. The P-38 could puncture a ration can, scrape carbon from a rifle bolt, or even spark a flint. Soldiers learned to make do with these tools because they had no other choice. They discovered that each simple function could serve 10 others in the field. It wasn't versatility built through quantity, but through ingenuity. Every soldier became his own mechanic, his own carpenter, his own problem solver. That's where the genius of this trio lies. While modern survival tools try to do everything, these wartime classics focused on the three things that actually mattered: cutting, prying, and opening. The knife handled precision tasks, the marlin spike or screwdriver gave brute force, and the can opener, despite its tiny size, became the tool that held the system together. When something jammed, the opener could fix it. When something broke, the knife could shape a replacement. When something stuck, the spike could loosen it. There was no wasted motion, no wasted design. In a sense, this trio represented the soldiers themselves, adaptable, practical, and impossibly tough. They weren't fancy, but they were effective. Every nick on the blade told a story. Every dent on the handle marked a battle survived. And even decades later, veterans still carried their old army knives, worn smooth by use and memory. Modern multi-tools, for all their design, rarely hold that kind of legacy. They look impressive, but when dirt gets into their hinges, or a spring fails, they're done. They're too complicated to fix in the field and too delicate to truly trust. The World War II pocket tools didn't have that weakness. Each piece could be cleaned, repaired, or replaced individually. They didn't depend on engineering tolerances or company warranties, just human skill. The soldiers knew that. They trusted what worked. They didn't care about brand names or coatings or fancy packaging. They cared that when they needed to cut, pry, or fix something under gunfire or rain, their tools wouldn't quit on them. Those old steel pieces were like extensions of their own hands, and even when the war ended, the philosophy endured. Simplicity, reliability, and purpose, three things that never go out of style. You can still recreate that legendary pocket setup today. All it takes is a solid folding knife, preferably carbon steel, not stainless, a marlin spike or strong awl, and a P38 can opener. Together they'll handle just about anything: cutting rope, carving wood, scraping metal, opening cans, or even field repairs. It's a setup that costs less than a modern gadget, but will last for decades, and more importantly, it carries the same spirit as those who first carried it: men who built bridges under fire, patched gear in the mud, and found a way to survive with 3 tools and sheer willpower. That's the hidden brilliance of World War II gear. It wasn't about innovation for innovation's sake, it was about stripping life down to what truly worked. The Orbitu Pocket Trio, as we like to call it now, didn't just outlast its time, it outsmarted the future. It proved that survival doesn't come from complexity, it comes from clarity. In the end, the soldiers who carried those humble tools didn't win with technology, they won with simplicity. 3 tools, 1 pocket, infinite possibilities.